Tonight, Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden is making national headlines during a fundraising stop in Atlanta.
Before I begin my remarks, I want to address something right up front.
His bombshell announcement changing his stance on funding for abortions.
So I make no apologies for my last position, and I make no apologies for what I'm about to say.
Live, local, late-breaking. This is the Channel 2 Action News Nightbeat. Coverage you can count on.
Good evening, I'm Craig Lucy. Justin Farmer is off.
I'm Javita Moore. Tonight, presidential candidate Joe Biden told a crowd in Atlanta that he has changed his mind when it comes to federal funding for abortion.
Biden and three other presidential candidates, Beto O'Rourke, Pete Buttigieg, and Cory Booker, made stops in Atlanta today.
Channel 2's Justin Wilfon is live in Buckhead tonight. And Justin, the former vice president, took on the sensitive topic right at the start.
He certainly did, Jovita, and that event wrapped up here right inside this room just a short while ago with speeches from presidential candidate Beto O'Rourke as well as Stacey Abrams. They both fired up the crowd here tonight, but it was Joe Biden who walked in this room and made that big news. When Democratic presidential frontrunner Joe Biden took the stage at a fundraiser in Buckhead Thursday night, he wasted no time making news.
I want to address something right up front.
After several days of criticism from his own party for his support of the Hyde Amendment, which bans federal funding for most abortions, Biden announced he's changed his mind.
If I believe health care is a right, as I do, I can no longer support an amendment that makes that right dependent on someone's zip code.
Biden's announcement received a standing ovation, but then he quickly turned his attention to President Trump.
That I believe we're in a battle for the soul of this nation. We are in the battle for the soul of this nation.
Biden's appearance at the major Democratic fundraiser called I Will Vote marks his first public appearance in Atlanta since announcing his run for the White House. The event also featured a long list of other big-name Democrats, like presidential candidate Beto O'Rourke and Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms.
When we faced what seemed like insurmountable odds just a year and a half ago in Atlanta, we made it over, and I know that America can too.
But Biden stole the show, leaving Democrats in the room with a clear message.
Beat Donald Trump.
And back here now live, Biden also held a private fundraiser here in Atlanta today for his own campaign as well. Reporting live in Buckhead tonight, Justin Wilfon, Channel 2 Action News, Nightbeat.
All right, certainly seems like Atlanta is going to be a big part of this 2020 campaign, Justin. Yeah. Now, two other candidates spent the day in Atlanta, South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg and New Jersey Senator Cory Booker.
Yes, and we spoke with both of them, and each candidate believes Georgia could vote Democrat coming up in 2020.
I think that we can absolutely turn this into a blue state. If my red state of Indiana could go blue in 2008, then Georgia absolutely could in 2020 or beyond.
Georgia is a state where there are more Democrats living here, I imagine, than there are Republicans, just looking at the state numbers. What we need to do is to get people out to vote. This is a blue state.
And it is a very large field of candidates vying for the Democratic nomination in 2020. Look at this. Right now, 24 people are in the race. On the Republican side, the president is not running unopposed. Former Massachusetts Governor Bill Weld will challenge the president in the primaries.
New developments tonight. Police have identified a man wanted for looking into someone's home and performing lewd acts. They gave us this picture of the suspect. Channel 2's Alyssa Hyman is live in Midtown Atlanta, and neighbors are on the lookout, Alyssa.
Jovita, I was out here just last month covering some of these peeping Tom reports. Now police say they've identified a suspect in at least one of the cases, but right now they're still trying to find him. Take a look at this man. APD says Taiwan McCoy is a suspected peeping Tom. Police say a witness ID'd him as the man she saw peeping through her Midtown window.
Definitely uncomfortable, especially as like a female, you know, and I take my dog out like by myself sometimes.
While we don't know if he's suspected in other cases, we do know Zone 5 has had at least 4 reports of peeping Toms since April. We were out here last month covering some of those reported sightings.
Like knowing that I could run into that situation is definitely uncomfortable to think about.
It's pretty unsettling news for new neighbors like Megan Boop, who had no idea this was happening.
Especially because you don't always know what the intention is behind that as well.
APD issued a BOLO today for Taiwan Lloyd McCoy for a peeping Tom.
Will Wright didn't know about the peeping Tom reports either until he ran to us.
Interesting.
So you hadn't heard about the first incident?
I had not heard of it, but now that I'm reading it on Nextdoor.
He found the reports pretty disturbing as well.
That's pretty awful, honestly, to be happening in Midtown, which I would say this area is pretty safe as a whole, but that's definitely not something you want in your community.
And police say they're also looking into whether this suspect could be connected to those other Peeping Tom reports here in Midtown. If you have any information on this case or recognize that suspect, you're asked to call police, or you can also call Crime Stoppers, where you could be eligible for a reward. Reporting live tonight in Midtown, Alyssa Hyman, Channel 2 Action News Nightbeat.
Here's another look at the man police are searching for tonight. If you can help find him, call Crime Stoppers at 404-577-TIPS. Again, that's 404-577-8477.
New at 11, Atlanta police have made an arrest in a deadly scooter crash. Tonight, APD told us that they arrested Nicori Wright on Monday for speeding when she hit a man riding an e-scooter. We are working right now to get her mugshot. 20-year-old Eric Amos died near the Westlake MARTA station last month. He was on his way home from work. Also new at 11, a man is accused of stabbing 2 people when they told him they didn't have anything. Now police need your help to quickly find him. These are pictures right here of the suspect. Atlanta police say he asked 2 men for money on Martin Luther King Jr. Drive on May 29th. APD says the man pulled out a knife and then stabbed the men on the wrist and hand. If you have seen him, please call police right away.
Tomorrow, we are expecting to find out just how much help Georgia farmers will get from the federal government. We traveled to South Georgia to show you the damage caused by the hurricanes last year. And today, the president signed that $19 billion disaster relief bill they've been waiting for. It's going to help states recovering from hurricanes, flooding, and wildfires. Tomorrow, the governor and Secretary of Agriculture, Sonny Perdue, will visit farmers in South Georgia, and we will be there along with them. So be sure to watch for live coverage on Channel 2 Action News starting at 4.
One of our area's most wanted criminals is now off the streets and in jail. Deputies in Clayton County captured Joshua Ellis in DeKalb County after a month on the run. Authorities say Ellis robbed a man and pistol whipped him. He's facing armed robbery and aggravated assault charges. New developments: the co-owner of a children's school told us that they will replace all of the equipment someone stole from their students, and now obviously they want to stop this burglar before he does it again. Surveillance cameras right here captured this man at the Stonebridge Early Learning Center in Coweta County. This was Sunday night. He's accused of stealing that sunshade right there. The co-owner also showed us where the suspect broke into buses and stole 3 radios.
It's disheartening to know that there are people who think it's okay just to jump over your fence and steal things.
He says the thief also stole a bag full of new children's toys for their playground.
Police have this clear surveillance video from inside of a convenience store even after a fire burned the cameras. You see the burglar break through the glass door, calmly walk in and get the cash register. And then you see him start a fire. This is inside the Rosie Food Mart in Rome 2 weeks ago. The owner told us it could take up to 4 months before he can reopen his business. Driving around I-285 this weekend might slow you down a little more than usual. GDOT is scheduled to close several lanes between Conley Road and the airport tunnel on I-285. Crews will be out there repaving the highway. And here's a live look at that area right now. The work starts 9 o'clock tomorrow night and continues through 5 a.m. Monday morning.
World leaders gathered in Normandy, France today to remember the brave men who stormed Omaha Beach 75 years ago. Seated behind today's speakers, 173 American World War II veterans. 65 of them were there on D-Day. Take a look. Today's ceremonies range from a patriotic flyover to a poignant return to the ground where so many died. In his remarks, President Donald Trump reminded us why they're called the greatest generation.
They built families. They built industries. They built a national culture that inspired the entire world.
This weekend, the solemnness of this anniversary will turn to a celebration. Cobb County's Hillgrove High School band will march in the D-Day Memorial Parade. Local veteran Victor Graham is with those students, and he'll serve as Grand Marshal of that parade. Now, we have pictures from today's ceremonies on our website. Just go to WSBTV.com and just go to our homepage and scroll down to all of the photos section. You'll see a slideshow there.
His family and complete strangers will finally get to honor a Navy sailor at a visitation tomorrow. He is home 75 years after World War II. Navy Reserve Seaman 2nd Class DeWard Duncan Jr. died serving our country in 1944. He was just 19 years old. The military lost track of his remains until recently. And today, News Chopper 2 flew over the procession that carried his remains from Hartsfield-Jackson Airport to Monroe, Georgia. His niece told us she is happy he is finally home.
It's about him and him getting the honor and respect that he deserves for sacrificing his life for our country.
So the visitation is open to the public. It is tomorrow at 5 o'clock at Tim Stewart Funeral Home in Monroe.
New at 11, a new push to save lives here in Metro Atlanta. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is sending $1.5 million to DeKalb County to fight the HIV epidemic. Today, the governor announced the money will be used to reduce how this virus is spread. I hope the funding will also cut down on illnesses and deaths. We were there just last fall when Atlanta city leaders tackled this very important issue head on. They worked to get the word out about the epidemic and funding because those two seem to be the major issues in fighting HIV. City leaders also said more people should be screened and tested in high-risk communities so that they can know their status.
Film crews are closing 2 locations in Coweta County. Take a look at this map because you're going to want to avoid Greenville Street from Spring Street to South Court Square in downtown Noonan. That section will be closed Monday from 5 a.m. through 10 p.m. And crews are also closing Greenville Street from Spence Avenue to Nimmon Street to do some filming there. That closure is from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Right now, tracking isolated showers across North Georgia, but some widespread rain on the way for your drive into work tomorrow morning. I'll take you through that, plus the waves of rain and amounts of rain we can see for the weekend next.
Tonight, mixed emotions about those scooters you see all over the metro area.
It's new, it's different, it's disruptive, but it's useful.
New at 11, the Option City leaders say they're considering to keep companies from dumping more scooters across town.
A man sucker punched this 84-year-old right in the face, then robbed her.
Stopped the car and jumped out. It was all in a flash.
Tonight, police are combing over one piece of evidence that could solve this case.